The MiStra project is a very interesting project. It's looking at good practices, it's looking at cities that are in need and then cities that have good practices and finding a match. So I guess the belief is that migrants often in some cities don't have the same opportunities. Maybe they don't have access to the same education, and that has an impact on their employability and then of course on their social inclusion. So the idea of MiStra was to look at cities that had good practices and try and transfer them to cities that needed those good practices. So 4 cities were identified, and then there was a matching situation where we matched cities based on what they needed. And then the idea was, over a series of 3 workshops, the model that was chosen by that city would be transferred to that city, which is a lot easier said than done. But at the moment, we're working really, really hard on transferring these models. And the idea is that to improve the situation for those migrants and the minority groups in that need city. So we've got Prague, Toronto, Budapest, and Burgas. So these migrants in those cities, they need something, and we are going to use these models to improve their situation and to hopefully make an impact on their lives.
The practice we decided to transfer from Dublin is the interagency cooperation model, which was used in Ballymun as part of the Equal Youth project. We were choosing the projects at the matching seminar in Vienna, and two of my stakeholders, one girl from Prague 3 and one girl from Prague 5 were there with me. And when they heard Julie's presentation about the Equal Youth, they say, okay, this is what we need. Let's try it. We want this one.
We had a lot of young people, hard to reach young people with maybe early school leavers, hard to reach, had maybe some criminal backgrounds, and really were not engaging in our services or often in any services. But when they did engage, they were going to one service, telling their story, getting some assistance, and then maybe they had to go to another service. They have to tell their story again. And eventually that can lead them to say, no, I don't want to do this anymore. So we decided, or the Job Centre was involved in this project with the goal of getting people in the local area, variety of services, into the one room to look at clients and deal with them as an individual and to wrap the services around them.
It suits our needs perfectly, because what we wanted was to establish some sort of strategy, some sort of cooperation between the various agents that are somehow active in the field of integration of migrants in Prague.
Some people might say, how can you do that? It's a different city, it's got a different history, different structures, different government, different everything, and a different target group.
The needs of the adult migrant people in Prague are quite different. So there was a lot of discussion, and it took a lot of time, I think, to adapt the model for use with migrant communities. However, I think we have done that. I think, it was a difficult process, but I found that all the agencies were very engaged and very willing to work with each other, very willing to work around the barriers that exist. And I think we are now we're just about at a kind of a final kind of collaborative protocol.
We had to face a lot of legal problems, like, for example, if inside the interagency working you want to share the information about the clients, here it's almost impossible. Like, you have the law about the social services, then you have the law about the privacy of the clients, and there are really a lot of bureaucratic obstacles.
I think that there is a problem that we as a municipality sometimes don't know what the organizations really do, what they can offer to the client. And the organizations sometimes don't want to communicate, don't want to collaborate with the municipality. They think, okay, we know what is for the client the best, and so we are outside this work. And that's a pity, I think. Třeba k té informovanosti mám to, že nedochází k těm pravidelným schůzkám a ta nabídka třeba z hlediska projektů, z hlediska těch služeb se strašně rychle jako mění. A to znamená, že jako ty městské části ani nemůžou mít přehled o každý neziskovce třeba v Praze, která nabízí těm migrantům nějaké služby. A vy třeba jako
The idea was, could we sit down, could we work out a protocol that we as agencies could work together for the benefit of our clients. Could we find a way of sharing information about the client that's still respecting all the client's rights in order to progress the client's future? So that's really what we were looking at. Can we communicate as agencies and can we have a common goal?
Základní předpoklad, abychom mohli sdílet klienta a třeba si ho nabízet na nějakém trhu těch kontaktních osob, které tam budou a se všemi těmi nabídkami, tak vůbec je ta základní informace o tom, jaký projekt ta organizace má, jaká je cílová skupina a jaké různé aktivity nabízí ta organizace. To je úplně základní ještě stavební kámen vůbec toho, abychom přistoupili k tomu sdílení toho klienta napříč členy nějaké platformy, která se později možná vytvoří. Takže možná z hlediska to, že budeme sdílet klienta, je možná trošku další proces, možná i 2 roky, nebo rok. Ale ten první předpoklad je vůbec změna těch základních informací o projektech, cílové skupině a o službách, jaké nabízí konkrétní organizace. A díky, že jsem tady mluvil.
Teas and coffees will be brought to us. We have a training room down there for like the computer suite, and this is the toilets. We want to learn how to work structuredly together, because you can't just take 5 or 6 organisations, bring them together and say, okay, here's a list of clients, sort them out. People will sit there, and this has happened in Prague, well, we can't share this information and we can't share that information because it's our company policy. So you need to have structured protocols, confidentiality statements, and trust built up over a period of time to enable that kind of working. So you might walk into the building, I am a probation officer, I work for the Department of Justice, that's my job. But when I walk in here to the Equal Youth meeting, I am part of the Equal Youth Network. So and that lot of work went into each organisation being willing to allow that probation worker to come in and talk freely and to share information. That takes a lot of work. But once they're in the building, they're like a little group and they all can trust each other and share information about their clients. There is no, I can't talk about that.
But I have to say I did really enjoy the visit of the integration center in Dublin, because what they do is some sort of advocacy, lobbying maybe a little bit, and I think this is really important. It's an important part of job of any NGO who really wants to change something. You need to be good at advocacy. You need to know how to push your topics, how to push your problems to the politicians, to the local authorities. So I was really impressed with their job. Like, for example, they are preparing some sort of strategic documents for the local governments in Ireland, and they are doing it in a really, comprehensive and really funny way. Like, it's not like a book with 100 recommendations, but it's just a small brochure with a lot of pictures, and it's a really great example of how to do advocacy in a really effective way.
This, for example, is one we produce every year, and another one will have to happen in June, and it monitors integration in 4 main areas set by the EU at the Zaragoza conference, I think it was in 2009. So it's social inclusion, active citizenship, education, and employment. So it's statistical analysis, and usually quite interesting, and they'll choose like a specific topic each year. So I think in this one it's racism that takes precedence. This is something that we produce to advise and lobby government, basically, and it's done in this very simplistic traffic light system of where their policies are and if there's been any progress, and if nothing has happened or if it's stalled, and basically saying what the problem is, how they could fix it, and how much it might cost.
Would you like us firstly to...
No. We'll sit down and then we do a bit of introduction.
Perfect.
Find out what the expectations are, and then we'll give you a quick run around about what we do,
Great.
something about Ireland, and then we take it from there. Immigration is a permanent reality in Ireland, because initially there was this sense of people are coming here, when we have no jobs, they will go. But as you know, don't need to tell anyone, there is not such a thing as temporary migration. Yeah, everybody says you go and you come back. If there was temporary migration, we wouldn't have 80 million people in the United States calling themselves Irish. So if somebody comes here, they are applying for citizenship. If they can't do it, we help them to fill the forms. If necessary, we can go to court if we feel their file was not treated properly. In terms of migrants, obviously, we can't help everyone and we can't let everyone in. So today we are focusing on 2 groups of migrants: victims of domestic violence and victims of trafficking for sexual exploitation.
Well, I'd say my main impression right now, at this moment, is that the MiStra project turned out pretty differently from what I imagined at the beginning would be the results. But it's still good. I mean, I learned a lot, and I had to be flexible. Not just me, my stakeholders, my collaborators in the project, they had to be flexible as well. So my impression is, you never know what you learn on your way. It might be something different from what you expected, but it's still very useful.
The strength in it is that it's the openness of the participants, that at the workshops, there's a huge amount of openness and recognition of quality of the good practice that they now have on their laps, and they can use this, and it's not costing them any money. Yes, their time to come to the workshop and their organizations are allowing them, which is great, but they see the opportunity that they have, and they have said there is nothing quite like this available to them. So I would take that from them, that obviously it is something unique and something good and something different and something that allows them to really make an impact. Because I think they wouldn't have committed to the second workshop, and they wouldn't be willing to do the work in between the workshops, and they wouldn't be willing to turn up at the third workshop if they didn't believe that.
The final result of all 3 workshops will be that we will have a set of tools we can use at any time, basically. And also we will have some engaged people that will try to use them immediately, but I think this is also important that the set of tools will be prepared, will be done. So if someone wants to use some sort of interagency model in Prague, maybe in a different context, not with migrants, so it's done, it's here, and he can use it, he can change it if he wants to, but it's done, it's here. So I think that's really important.